to a brand new edition of Evan and Tiki. How we doing on this fine Thursday? Tiki Barber, Evan Roberts with you for the next 4.5 hours. There is a ton to discuss. My biggest NFL rooting interest now that the Jets are dead. Why I'm falling in love with Cam Scottaboo. A Lugash debate series has been scheduled for 4:30. And not only did the Knicks steal a game last night, should Josh Hart be arrested for stealing food from an innocent fan? We'll get to all that coming up over the next 4.5 hours. But, Tiki, I was confronted by a listener this morning, and it very much affected me.
Yes.
I don't mind if you don't like the show. I don't mind if you don't like me. I don't care. I take all criticisms with a grain of salt. Mm-hmm. But someone stopped me today and uttered something very hurtful to me, and it was said to me last year, too. It's the second straight year someone has uttered this criticism at the feet of me, little old Evan Roberts.
Specifically you, not our show. This is just you.
Just me.
Okay, let's hear it.
Evan, you're not doing enough to bang the drum that the Mets need to re-sign Pete Alonso. And I said, well, what do you mean by that? I've made my opinion very clear.
Right.
And the guy said, when's the last time you opened with it? And I actually have a memory of every open we've had since the end of the baseball season. And I said, well, we haven't. And he said, oh, yeah, too busy talking about Jackson Dart? Too busy with Trent Grisham or Kyle Tucker? And he called me out. And he said, tell the people the truth. Tell them that the New York Mets need to re-sign Pete Alonso. So Tiki Barber at 2:02 on November 20th, 2025, let me make myself perfectly clear. If the New York Mets have an interest in winning a world's championship for the first time since 1986, if they have an interest in improving themselves from the wrecked mess that was last year, the best course of action is to retain and keep Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso needs to return. The Mets need to re-sign him. Blah, 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 blah. I want Pete Alonso.
Ah, nice.
Have I made myself clear?
Well done. Next topic.
Yeah.
Now you've over with it.
I'm done. We can move on now.
You know what's funny?
Yes.
He's right. He absolutely, whoever said this to you on the street is right. Because Pete Alonso is the every Met fan's desire right now, especially after the season that he had in his second consecutive go-get-yourself-paid year. He had the year that you would have wanted him to have. He looked invaluable. He looked like he was the best player at some points on this team, and he was clutch when he needed to be. So why aren't Met fans stomping harder for Pete Alonso? Why don't, even though he's 31 years old, why aren't Met fans saying you got to keep him with no matter what? Why is it? Oh, Edwin Diaz is more important. No, he probably is, but Edwin Diaz is more important. Why aren't more Met fans stomping for Pete Alonso? Because he is important for this future. Otherwise, I mean, you can replace him, but it's not going to feel the same. He might have the same production, whoever it may be, Kyle Schwarber, whoever, but is it going to feel the same?
Well, I want to actually disagree with you about feelings because I was very careful over that 30-second monologue, whatever you want to call it, I made. And I'm going to be very careful throughout this open and whenever we talk about Pete Alonso. My interest and my demand on keeping him has nothing to do with feelings or emotions. Zero. While I do have feelings and emotions, and yes, as a fan, as a diehard Met fan, I don't want to lose another homegrown player to another team. I'm talking strictly business. You know me. I've done all these geeky Ricos analyzing all the free agents, Alex Bregman, Kyle Schwarber, how everybody would fit. And the conclusion I've come to is that the best fit for the New York Mets is Pete Alonso. So the feelings that you touch on, which I do think affect a lot of fans, I'm excluding it because that's not my reasoning. My reasoning is, here's a baseball player who every single year of his major league career, every one of them, goes out and plays. He plays every single game. He's done it since 2019. He is the most reliable slugger in the sport. I didn't say the best. I said reliable. And then he goes out there when he plays every game, and he'll hit you 35 home runs, maybe 40. Yeah. He'll have an OPS in the 800s.
Okay. But
that's what they need.
Yeah, but reason doesn't get you paid.
What?
Emotion gets you paid. Emotion gets Pete Alonso here.
So you're saying I have to twist this and make it all about emotion?
What is the fan? What is the Met fan? Is the Met fan generally thinking like you are, where, hey, man, statistically speaking, he gives us the best way? Or is it Pete Alonso is exactly the Met that I've grown to love over the last 5-6 years? He plays every game. He tries his heart out. He bleeds Met blue. All of that. That's what I think this fan, random guy who stops you on the street, is talking about. The Met fan wants to scream, keep Pete. We want Pete. David Stearns, we want Pete. Steve Cohen, we want Pete. But nobody's doing it.
Not yet, at least.
Free agency's a week and a half old.
You're talking about us as fans or David Stearns or Steve Cohen?
I'm talking
about me.
I'm talking about fans. I'm talking about...
Because Tiki, you know what we want more than anything? I mean, I'd love to have career Mets all over the place. I'd love that. I want to win. I'm sick of losing. I'm sick of being a loser. And so I think that every Met fan is open to making this team better. And if you can present to me a scenario where the Mets are better with Pete Alonso, I promise you I'll listen.
Right. So you're going to, doing it the way that you're alluding to, that statistics, measurables, etc., Pete Alonso is better. That's why he should stay.
Absolutely. Those emotions in terms of career Met, and now he's the all-time home run leader, and that dopey ticket stub the Mets sent me that I framed on the wall, all that stuff is cool, but that's not the reason that I want him back. I want him back because, just as a baseball fan like we all are, and I try to build the Mets in this offseason like we're all doing, I think he gives the best chance of succeeding for the next couple of years. The biggest critique, I've heard 2 critiques of Pete Alonso over the last couple of years. 3 critiques, actually. One critique was, well, how's he going to age? How's he going to age? Well, look, I don't have a crystal ball. And so right now he's going to turn 31 years old. I don't know what he'll be when he's 35. But the only thing we can do is look at one's past to dictate the future. He plays every day. There's zero evidence that he's going to break down. Not one. It's a fantasy that you are creating. You're stereotyping him. You're looking at his body and you're saying, he's got a weird looking ass. He must break down when he's 33. We have zero evidence. He played 162 games last year. He played 162 games the year before that. The year before that, he played 154 games. The year before that, 160. This is absurd.
Yeah.
He plays every day. That was one of the critiques I always heard. You know what the other critique was?
What did he miss? A week in 2023?
That was it.
For the wrist?
Yeah, that's when he got hit by a pitch by that goof, Charlie Morton.
That's it. Basically.
That's it.
2021, he got hit in the hand.
That was 2021. Right. Yeah, I forget the years.
Yeah.
Either way, that goof Charlie Morton did it. So even when he got hurt, he played. So I want to throw that out the window. If you keep bringing up how he's going to age, you're literally making stuff up. There's no facts to back it up. Now, I'll admit we don't know the future, but the best way to predict the future is to look at the past. The second thing I always hear, well, he's not great defensively. Okay. Forget the arguments that I've had with Met fans that he's actually not as bad defensively at first base as you think. His agent has come out and said, he'll DH. So he's already giving you DH me. I don't love DHing, but I'm willing to do it. So the argument of, well, he's so bad defensively, you don't even have a DH. He can DH half the time. So that argument was thrown out the window. So I'll get to the third argument in a minute, but those 2 things, can we at least admit, Tiki, all fallacies?
Yeah. No, you're not. I'm not worried. The modern athlete is different as far as health and maintenance, and you kind of know the guys that are going to be hurt because they were always hurt. They were randomly oblique or hamstring or other soft tissue. Giancarlo Stanton. He's going to be hurt at some point every single season.
Because his track record tells you.
Track record tells you.
Absolutely.
And guys that get to Pete's age, he's 30. He'll be 31 soon by the end in early December. But at 30 years old, and he has no injury history, why would you think a well-conditioned athlete, I know his body looks like he's weird, but having met him, sat next to him, that dude's built like a brick, you know what?
Right.
He's put together. So I can't look at him and say I'm worried about your health because, 1, you look like you're fit, and 2, you don't get hurt unless you get hit by a pitch.
So what I'm so curious about then is for anyone who wants to move on from him for either Kyle Schwarber or Alex Bregman.
Who wants to move on from him?
I think there are Met fans who prefer other routes.
Why?
I agree with you. I don't prefer another route.
I don't.
But I've heard from them. I've heard from them over the last 2.5 years.
Maybe because it's different.
Well, that's a scary thing. That it's different. I want something different. And yes, the Mets failed last year, and I want to win as much as anybody.
It wasn't Pete's fault.
Right. So I wouldn't say, well, it needs to be different. And so since they've underachieved that time with him here, let's go get someone else. Because the thing about everybody else, and you could take whoever you want, including Alex Bregman, who's a hell of a ball player. I don't mean to pick on him. Or even Kyle Schwarber, who, too, is a fearsome slugger. Look at their track records of staying healthy. Mm-hmm. Would you say it's better than Pete Alonso's?
No.
The answer is no.
Definitely not.
So why would that scare anybody? And yet, the Mets, at least last year, we'll see what they do this year, have had a reluctance of going longer term with him. And my question would be, why? Because you're projecting that you don't think he's going to age well? Well, so far, our evidence tells us he's going to age well because the guy plays all the time.
Yeah, I think the other thing, and this was probably proven after Vlad signed, that the number that his agent was asking for was probably exorbitant.
7 years?
Number and then APY.
Yeah, I agree.
It was massive.
Yes.
And in a lot of ways, unprecedented. Mm-hmm. And so David Stearns, and I guess Steve Cohen by extension, or maybe the other way around, didn't want to be the precedent setter for a star, put this in quotes, first baseman. And so that probably held them back. There's no market for this. Why am I going to do something that's unprecedented?
And that I don't disagree with. Like, I'm not mad at the Mets that they waited on Pete last year because they ultimately won out. Mm-hmm. My attitude is I'd continue to wait, but I want to be the highest bidder at the end. Like, I'm not afraid to go to a fourth year or, dare I say, a fifth year. Now, I don't want to go there if I don't have to. That's just dumb negotiating. So I'm not suggesting that today the Mets have to make him some kind of absurd offer.
What gets it done, do you think? If they were motivated to keep Pete Alonso, is it 4 years, 200?
Today?
I mean, 4 years, 120? Or is it 3 years, 90?
3 years, 90 ain't getting it done. It may eventually get it done. Let me ask you a question this way. Are you asking about getting it done on November 20th or just getting it done in general?
Getting it done in general.
Then you have to wait it out and be the highest bidder. So that's letting the market develop.
Yeah. That's
allowing the Red Sox to say, all right, Pete, we're willing to go 4 or 5 years. I don't know where these teams are willing to go.
But here's what's becoming interesting and obvious. Mm-hmm. It's not the priority. Like anybody's priority. Pete Alonso's, they're not beating down his agent's door. It doesn't, because we're not hearing anything about it.
Not yet. I don't think it'll be like last year. Like, if I had to guess right now, in fact, that gives me an idea. Long-term prediction, the date Pete Alonso signs. We did that last year, and, well, it didn't happen until February.
Right.
My gut tells me it's going to happen sooner rather than later, and I'm willing to wait. Like, I'm not out here banging the drum that it has to happen today or tomorrow. I'm out here banging the drum, and here's where I would defy any Met fan. And you're welcome to tell me how I'm wrong, 888-808-1019. I think he's the best course of action moving forward. I don't think there's an alternate plan that's better. If you want to shake up the core, if that's your reasoning, okay. Tell me what your plan is that makes them better than bringing Pete Alonso back. Because there are other decent plans, and don't get me wrong, there are other decent plans. I've thought about it. I've studied it. I've analyzed it. But they're not better. That's the difference. They're good plans. Alex Bregman, good ball player. Kyle Schwarber, hell of a slugger. Taking a risk on one of the guys from Japan, whether it's Akamoto or Murakami. They're all fine plans. But that's not the best plan. The best plan, and it has nothing to do with emotion, is the most reliable slugger in baseball. Mm-hmm. Again, not the best slugger, but I'll tell you this about Pete Alonso. He's reliable. There are a lot of players in this sport who are clearly better, Aaron Judge being one of them, but you don't know if they're going to play 160 games. Their track record tells you they're going to miss time. Wouldn't you like the guy for the next 3, 4, 5 years, whatever it takes, who you can write down almost in permanent ink? He's going to play 155 games?
Yeah, but you also want the guy, even if he does miss games, he's going to be the most valuable to get you towards a championship. That's what you're asking about Pete. Now, I wouldn't be worried about that because Pete seems to be a gamer, but that's what I think the Met fan and maybe even Met ownership is looking for right now. What's going to get us over the hump? And that's offensively, clearly that's there, but you heard it multiple times. They worried about the defense. from a defense that's pitching.
Well, but he's going to fielding. But Tiki's going to DH a portion of the time that he didn't do. You've already improved yourself defensively if you bring in a good glove that can play that position part of the time.
So how do you value a DH versus a first baseman? That becomes the sticking point.
Here's what I value. Kyle Schwarber's a hell of a player who had a better year than Pete Alonso last year. There's no question. The guy had 56 home runs. I got great respect for Kyle Schwarber. He doesn't play a position at all. He's also 2 years older. Who would you rather have on your team? Knowing those facts, which are facts, who would you rather have on your team for the next 3 years?
Pete Alonso.
Okay.
Because he can do both.
Exactly. I value that he can even play the position, even if it's not at the highest level. But the third thing that was always brought up and is still brought up by some Met fans is, well, there's something off about the locker room. When we come back, I have the indisputable evidence that Pete Alonso is everything that's right in the locker room. We'll get to it coming up, plus your calls at 888-808-1019.